For decades, buying a home printer felt like walking into a trap. You would go to the store and buy a traditional inkjet printer for what seemed like an incredible bargain, maybe $40 or $50. But it was a classic razor and blades business model. The moment the starter ink ran dry, you quickly discovered that buying a fresh set of tiny plastic replacement cartridges cost more than the printer itself. Worse yet, if you didn't print anything for a few weeks, the microscopic amount of liquid ink sitting in those expensive cartridges would dry up and clog. You were left with a useless plastic brick right when you needed to print an urgent document. Because of these massive frustrations, consumers have largely given up on the traditional cheap inkjet printer. Nobody's interested in constantly buying overpriced plastic cartridges anymore, and the market has finally listened. Today, the conversation has completely shifted. If you are looking to buy a reliable printer for your home or small office, there are really only two heavyweight contenders left in the ring: the ink tank printer and the laser printer. While they both put words and images onto paper, they operate on completely different principles of physics and chemistry. They carry vastly different long-term operating costs, and they cater to entirely different styles of living. Choosing the wrong one doesn't just mean wasting money, it means signing up for years of tech support headaches. In this breakdown, we are going to strip away the marketing jargon. We will explain exactly how these two technologies work under the hood, answer the most common points of buyer confusion, and ultimately, match you with the exact machine that fits your daily routine. Let's get to work and explain it all. To truly understand an ink tank printer, we first have to look at the fascinating physics of liquid ink. Inside an ink tank printer, there is a mechanical printhead that moves rapidly back and forth across your paper. This printhead is packed with hundreds of microscopic nozzles, some thinner than a single human hair. Depending on the manufacturer, these nozzles use one of two incredible principles of physics to get the ink onto the paper: thermal or piezoelectric. In a thermal printhead, a microscopic heating element rapidly heats up, literally boiling a tiny fraction of the liquid ink. This creates a microscopic vapor bubble that expands rapidly, forcing a single droplet of ink out of the nozzle. When the bubble collapses, it creates a vacuum that pulls fresh ink into the firing chamber. In a piezoelectric printhead, there is no heat involved at all. Instead, a microscopic crystal sits behind each nozzle. When the printer applies a tiny electrical voltage to the crystal physically bends and changes shape. This sudden physical movement acts like a microscopic plunger, pushing a precise droplet of ink out onto the page. This complex dance happens thousands of times a second as the printhead glides silently across the paper. The true revolution of the ink tank printer, however, isn't in the printhead itself, it is in the fuel supply. Instead of forcing you to buy tiny, sealed plastic cartridges that hold just 3 or 4 milliliters of ink, manufacturers built massive, permanent reservoirs directly into the printer's body. When you run low on ink, you simply buy a vacuum-sealed bottle of liquid ink, open the cap, and pour the fluid directly into the bulk reservoir. This changes the economics of printing entirely. Yes, an ink tank printer costs significantly more to buy on day one compared to a cheap old-school inkjet. But a single set of replacement ink bottles can yield anywhere from 4,000 to over 7,000 pages. Your cost per page drops from 10 or 20 cents down to just a fraction of a single cent. You are essentially prepaying for years of high-volume printing right out of the box. But there is a catch, and it comes back to the chemistry of liquid ink. Ink is primarily composed of water mixed with specialized colorants and solvents. If it sits exposed to the air, the water will eventually evaporate. If you buy an ink tank printer and do not use it for 2 or 3 months, the liquid ink resting at the very tip of those microscopic printhead nozzles will dry out and harden. You will get streaky, faded pages and will be forced to run deep cleaning cycles, which wastes ink and puts heavy wear and tear on the machine. Ink tanks are high-performance machines that love to be used. They thrive in active environments where the ink is kept flowing. Now, let us flip the script entirely and talk about a technology that uses absolutely zero liquid: the laser printer. If ink tank printers rely on fluid dynamics, laser printers are a masterclass in static electricity, optics, and thermal physics. Instead of liquid ink, laser printers use a highly engineered substance called toner. Toner is a completely dry, microscopic powder made primarily of finely ground plastic polymers, iron oxide for magnetic properties, and specific pigments for color. Here is the step-by-step physics of how a laser printer works. Inside the machine, there is a photosensitive metal cylinder called a drum. A component called the primary charge roller applies a uniform electrical charge, usually a negative charge, across the entire surface of the spinning drum. Then, the laser goes to work. A highly precise laser beam reflects off a rapidly spinning polygonal mirror, sweeping back and forth across the charged drum. Because the drum is photosensitive, wherever the light of the laser hits it, the electrical charge in that exact microscopic spot is neutralized. The laser is literally drawing an invisible, electrically charged stencil of your document onto the drum. Next, the drum rolls past a developer roller, which is coated in the dry toner powder. The toner is given the same negative charge as the unexposed parts of the drum, meaning it is fiercely repelled by the blank areas. However, it is strongly attracted to the areas neutralized by the laser. The plastic powder literally jumps across a microscopic gap and clings to the drum, much like a balloon sticking to your hair via static electricity. A sheet of paper is then pulled into the machine and passes over a transfer roller. This roller gives the paper a very strong positive charge, much stronger than the charge on the drum. As the paper passes under the drum, that strong positive charge physically rips the toner powder off the drum and onto the paper. Finally, the paper passes through the fuser assembly. This is a pair of heavily heated rollers that reach temperatures of over 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The intense heat and mechanical pressure instantly melt the plastic polymers in the toner powder, fusing the pigments permanently into the physical fibers of the paper. This is exactly why a document coming straight out of a laser printer always feels pleasantly warm and perfectly flat. The advantages of this dry, static-driven process are massive. First is pure speed. Because a laser can sweep across a drum in fractions of a second, home laser printers can easily churn out 30 to 40 pages per minute. But the biggest advantage for domestic users is immortality. Because toner is a dry plastic powder, it cannot evaporate, it cannot dry out, it cannot clog. You can print a document, turn the laser printer off, go on a 6-month vacation, come back, turn it on, and it will print a flawless, crisp page on the very first try. The primary downside is physical scale and cost when it comes to color. Color laser printers require 4 separate drums and 4 separate toner reservoirs. This makes color laser units extremely heavy, bulky, and expensive for a casual budget. Because of this, the vast majority of smart home buyers opt for monochrome, or black and white, laser printers. So, how do these two titans compare when placed head-to-head? Let us look at text quality first. When an ink tank printer shoots liquid ink onto standard porous paper, the paper fibers absorb the fluid like a microscopic sponge. This causes a tiny amount of capillary bleed, meaning the absolute edges of the letters can look ever so slightly fuzzy under a magnifying glass. Laser printers, however, melt solid plastic directly onto the surface of the paper. This results in incredibly sharp, crisp, professional-grade text that will never smear or run. You can spill a glass of water on a laser-printed document or run a fluorescent highlighter aggressively over the words, and the text will not budge. For pure text documents, laser technology is the undisputed king. But what about color and photos? Here, the ink tank reclaims the crown effortlessly. Liquid ink is exceptional at blending colors to create smooth gradients and rich, vibrant skin tones. If you use specialized glossy photo paper, a modern ink tank printer can produce stunning, gallery-quality family photographs. A laser printer simply cannot do this. Dry toner powder cannot blend with the same smooth fidelity, and more importantly, the extreme heat of the fuser rollers will actually melt the coating on glossy photo paper, which can instantly destroy the inside of the printer. When it comes to maintenance, laser printers are virtually maintenance-free. You simply swap the toner cartridge once every few thousand pages, and you are done. Ink tank printers require a bit of conscious awareness. You must make sure to print at least one full-color test page every week or two just to keep the liquid ink flowing and prevent those microscopic nozzles from crusting over. In terms of operating costs, both are fantastic long-term investments that destroy the old inkjet cartridge model. While laser toner is very affordable, the bulk liquid bottles of an ink tank system are mathematically unbeatable when you calculate the raw cost per page, especially if you print heavily in color. As buyers navigate this modern printer landscape, they often encounter a few common points of confusion. Let us clear those up right now so you can shop with confidence. Confusion number 1. Are ink tank refill bottles incredibly messy to use? Years ago, early DIY refill kits were a disaster, often leaving your hands looking like a tie-dye shirt. But modern ink tank printers have engineered this problem out of existence. Brands now use smart, mechanically keyed bottle designs. The bottles have specialized pressure valves that will not release a single drop of ink until they are securely locked onto the correct color tank. You literally cannot put the cyan ink into the yellow tank by mistake, and you will not spill a drop during the refill process. It is entirely foolproof. Confusion. Number 2. I only print once a month for emergencies. Will an ink tank save me money? Absolutely not. This is a very common and expensive misconception. If you only print once a month, an ink tank printer is the absolute wrong choice. The money you theoretically save on bulk ink will be completely wasted when the printhead dries out from long periods of inactivity. You will be forced to run costly cleaning cycles and deal with immense frustration. If you are an infrequent printer, the zero-maintenance reliability of a monochrome laser printer is worth its weight in gold. Confusion. Number 3. Why shouldn't I just buy the cheapest laser printer available? While the core static electricity technology is the same across the board, cheaper laser printers often cut corners on daily conveniences. Budget models usually lack auto-duplexing, which is the mechanical ability to automatically flip the page inside the machine and print on both sides. They may also lack robust Wi-Fi capabilities for smartphone printing. If you are buying a laser printer to save time and hassle, spending slightly more for reliable wireless connectivity and automatic double-sided printing is highly recommended. Now that we deeply understand the science, the costs, and the quirks, let us match the technology to your specific lifestyle. I have broken this down into 3 distinct user profiles. Listen closely, and your buying decision will become instantly clear. Profile 1. The Document Warrior. If your printing life consists of Amazon return labels, tax forms, official documents, airline boarding passes, or concert tickets, if you go weeks without printing anything at all, and then suddenly need 30 pages right this second, and most importantly, if you do not care about printing in color, your perfect match is a monochrome laser printer. It is the ultimate, reliable home appliance. It sits quietly in the corner, asks for absolutely nothing, and delivers perfect waterproof text the instant you need it, even after months of total neglect. Profile 2. The Busy Household and Homework Hub. If you have children in school who constantly need to print colorful charts, geography maps, and study materials. If you work from home and like to review color-coded spreadsheets. If your family prints photos for the fridge or works on creative paper crafts on the weekend. If your printer sees action multiple times a week, your perfect match is an ink tank printer. The initial purchase price is higher, but you will experience the absolute freedom of printing thousands of vibrant, full-color pages without ever stressing about the cost of a replacement cartridge. Your high usage will naturally keep the printheads perfectly clear. Profile 3. The Small Business Owner. If you run a small operation where you need to print full-color brochures, marketing flyers, or high-quality product labels on demand, you print in high volumes every single day, and color accuracy is vital to representing your brand. Your perfect match is also a premium ink tank printer. The ability to print edge-to-edge color graphics at a fraction of a cent per page is a massive game-changer for business margins. And your daily heavy printing volume ensures the liquid ink system operates flawlessly. At the end of the day, the slow death of the traditional inkjet cartridge is a massive win for consumers. We are no longer trapped in a cycle of buying tiny, overpriced plastic boxes of liquid. By understanding the fundamental physics of how these new machines actually work, whether it is the bulk fluid dynamics of an ink tank or the static electric precision of a laser, you can finally make an investment that perfectly fits your workflow. If you are a frequent color printer, embrace the ink tank. If you want a bulletproof machine for black and white text, go with laser. I hope this deep dive cleared up the confusion and helps you make a confident choice for your home office. If you enjoyed learning about the actual mechanics behind our everyday tech, hit that like button, subscribe to Let Sal Explain, and drop a comment below letting me know which team you are on, Team Laser or Team Tank. Until next time, keep exploring how your world works.